You are now listening to the Artsindy Crossroads show. Here's Suk Yen Lee, host for CBC's Definitely Not the Opera and former VJ for Much Music.
I just Googled Nick Panu, pretending you're Marlon Brando, and you're asleep on you're asleep on your laptop.
Will Sasso stars for Mad TV and another series coming out on CBS.
Your intro there sounded like I was just making my way down to the ring for a MMA fight.
Interviews with Ruth Moody, the Wailing Jennies.
You're so welcome. Take care.
Motivational speaker David Roche.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Take care of yourself. I really appreciate it.
Karen LeBlanc, the star of Nurse, the Fighter Boy.
Hi, Nick. I'm really good, and thank you for asking me.
People in film, theater, music, the arts.
You know, culture and art and expression are fundamental to that essence of life.
It does take some strength, and it does take the skin of a rhino sometimes. You know, it's worth it. It really is. It's worth it.
Coming to you from UFV campus, you are listening to Civil Radio 101.7 FM. I'm Nick, and I'll be your host. So a good late afternoon to everyone here in the Fraser Valley. Yeah, so I got some news for you this week, which affects the Artsindy Crossroads show for the future. Starting today, we are no longer 1 hour, we are half an hour. Yeah, I've been thinking about this for the last 16 months. Yeah, a long time. But I figure, I was talking to the program manager and explaining, program manager for Civil Radio, that, yeah, I think the content will be better if I make the interviews shorter. Because at this point in time, I don't need to ask that many questions. Because when I first started the show, Artsindy Crossroads show has been on Civil Radio for 6 years. And then when I first started doing interviews, before being on Civil, I was at CITR, I contributed to the Arts Report. And then somewhere else, I had to ask the questions in the beginning because I was learning. And I noticed, though, now making interviews longer, I'm asking a lot of unnecessary questions that you probably don't have the time or patience. I should just get down to the meat, the important questions right away. And instead of asking those generic questions, yeah, just ask something more interesting, something kind of outside the box. I think I can do that with the short interviews. I have less time, and let's just get down to it. And then the issue of being busier these days, it's not so overwhelming to do this show. It's a commitment I can easily make, and I am planning to make, because, this show I'm sending out, this week I sent out to 2 other community stations some pre-recorded shows for Artsindy to try to get the show syndicated. So every week I'm going to send somewhere. There's community stations across Canada and in the States. So, I want to keep things going strong on this show. And, again, talking to the program coordinator. Promote the show on Twitter. The show's not going away. Going to make it shorter, better. Going to syndicate other stations. So excited because now I want to do some interesting things with the show. So, why don't we get started? Part 2 of the interview with the Jarrod Tyler Band. They talk about the whole scene, the issue of venues shutting down the Lower Mainland, and just the whole deal, challenges of being an indie band, and the documentary they're working on. This is part 2 of the interview with the Jarrod Tyler Band. Points of light faded out of view. It's true that the stones we both threw. No, you guys have played a lot of the main venues, but you mean like not known of in the sense of?
Well, in the sense that, for instance, we don't have social media. Like, we deleted our Facebook page. Did it help out? I don't know. I mean, I think I would post shows. I would post. I talked to this social media guy, and he was like, buddy, you got to be on there 24/7. You got to be on there posting everything you can. And I was just like, but isn't that kind of boring? I mean,
was it Casey Kasem? Oh,
he kind of had the same hairdo actually, but he was like, telling me that, you have to be on social media 24/7 and posting everything. And, I just kind of stuck to posting shows. And this is our next show coming up. This is our new album coming up. We just did a video. And it seemed that most people would have been more entertained or more intrigued had I posted a photo of myself into a public pool. I think people then might have thought, wow, that's entertaining. It may have gone viral. You see what I'm saying? Of course, I didn't do that. I was posting just, here's our next show, here's our next show. And I don't know, I found it didn't really do much in the way for promoting our shows even. In fact, what it did most for me was, I would get contacted from dudes I hadn't seen since like grade 8. Because then it's like, okay, so you can sort of keep up with all your friends and see, like, I just ate a sandwich, 2:16 p.m. Like, okay, so like you can know it, but I mean, honestly, if you're a band, I just felt like I was annoying people, and that people were just like, why do you keep sending me these notifications and invites? So I just figured, you know what, screw it. You want to come see us? You can come see us. We're going to rock out whether there's 4 people there or 400. I mean, whatever, right? It's, again, it's like if you, for instance, if say you have a band, okay, and you post a show, and then you post some just asinine picture of, say, you throwing a watermelon up against a huge plate glass window like this one. I mean, honestly, people are going to react more to the ridiculous photo, it seems, rather than a show. A show just, it seems to just bore people to tears, right? And that's why I mentioned about, I see so many ridiculous things going viral, and it makes me wonder exactly where people's brains are at, because, you see pictures that, they go viral, and the pictures that should go viral don't go viral. It's, I don't know, you can tell a lot about things by what goes viral, I guess. But shows was not, I mean, it didn't really help. Didn't really do much. Like, some people go, yeah, I'll go, I'll see it, but no more than normally came, right?
Maybe we'll go, and maybe I'll tell a friend, like, whatever, man. Like, sorry to say, but this right here, doing interviewing and doing, like, through podcasting or radio shows, getting, like, person-to-person, face-to-face talk, I think those are the best ways of advertising and promotion. Like, this right here is a good example. Even doing, like, a TV show, physically doing stuff, like the old analog way, where you're not jumping on social media, you're not sitting at the computer for 14 hours, like sitting here with you right now in this fine restaurant is
this
is definitely
this is a nice place. I heard a lot about this restaurant.
It's a 5-star for sure. But I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that, like, this is much more rewarding. I think if people listen to it, you're sitting down face to face. I think that's better than, like, texting on the phone instead of talking on the phone. Same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
This definitely does help a little bit into that area.
Yeah, I don't want to tell anybody I was here, because they'll get jealous with me. Because I know a lot of people,
Jarrod has high standards. It's tough. It's
being at this restaurant, a lot of people are jealous.
Well, I'll tell you something right now. This is the strangest thing. One of the server assistants here, who's wiping off the tables, this guy has been staring at us, just completely. He's like, I think he's very intrigued by what we're doing here at the microphone. And now he's got a couple of his coworkers over there. They're like peeking around the corner, seeing what we're doing.
You think the manager's going to come talk to us?
So already,
I think they're just a little shocked by the starstruck powers of the presence that we exude. And I'm just kidding. That's awesome.
I like the carpet here, man. It's really nice. Oh. But Jarrod, through the interview, you guys, Jarrod, Edwin, have mentioned who's in this documentary. But can you go over it again? You talked about the professor of finance. I kind of segued maybe and went on a tangent, but you were talking about, we're starting the project. And
the documentary film, I'm telling you, it's basically like we're opening the door and saying, come on in, come with us for maybe an hour or so, step into our world and experience on a very, personal level what it's like to be in a renegade indie band. Really, I mean, that's what it is. We don't polish it up. We don't try to portray ourselves as anything other than exactly what we are. It's total sincerity. You know, total sincerity. But like the documentary is awesome, dude. It's like we've been looking at it. It features a lot of live shows. It features rehearsals. It features moments of songwriting. It features going down to Los Angeles. Like we actually went into that studio, and like they let us go in a free roam with the camera. Well, that studio, yeah, like that. You know, a friend of mine who's actually helping co-produce this thing. He basically works at the studio, and he got us in to do some listening and things like that. And, you know, just to be in those rooms, like just to be in Studio 3 where Brian Wilson was in there with the Wrecking Crew recording Pet Sounds. I mean, it's surreal. It's surreal. I mean, you really can't explain it, you know. But that's featured in the documentary. I mean, basically, it's like inviting everybody and saying, look, like I say, it's like, you know, step into our world. Come see what it's really like. Come see what it's really like.
The people producing your documentary are the same people who produced your "I'm Not the Walrus" video, right? Which was really cool.
Some of the same people, yeah. But it's basically we have some people that were active in film they're helping with it. That and you know, it is kind of raw. I think what we were going for also was sort of like almost like a Nick Broomfield style documentary.
Like what style is he? Nick Broomfield. I'm not too sure.
Nick Broomfield, he's got some of the greatest documentaries. I mean, obviously he's not on a level like Ken Burns or something, but I mean he's still like, you know, like his style. It's very raw, but it's so good. You know what I mean? It's so good, and that's.
I think I got it.
I think that's kind of what we were trying to emulate there, and basically it's a documentation of our struggles as a band, and just, you know, the unexpected curveballs, things that get thrown into the mix. Like, for instance, having your CD release, basically planning it at the Railway Club, and then the Railway Club closes. So you lose the space where you're going to do your CD release. Kind of leaves you swinging in the wind, but, you know, it's part of the reality. It's part of, you know, what we experience as a band, right? Like we could have, you know what we could have done? You know, we could have leased a limousine for a day or two and went to Eaton's and got some cheap white suits and try to portray ourselves as, you know, rock stars of some sort. But
and I could have been your private security.
Yeah, you know, we could have done a lot of theatrics, but instead we chose to just look. This is what it is. It's kind of like reality TV, really.
Like before I joined the band, I was first a fan. Like I really enjoy the music. It's really good. You're not going to show up at a venue. You'll see us kind of getting ready maybe, but then all of a sudden it's like bam. Once we're on, it sounds pretty good. It's professionally done. I really enjoy it. Like I think I have a fine taste in music, and just being able to witness a band, let's say like this band, let's say, or just like another whatever talented band or whatever perform, it's something I'd want to watch, right? So like if I'm walking down the street and I hear these guys playing out through a window, I'd be like, hell, I'll pay the $7. I'll go sit down and watch it. That's good stuff. But so I mean, it's good music too. And I think that's a main surprise too for some folks who just see a three-piece sitting there getting ready.
You know, a lot of also when I think about certain radio stations here, for instance, like if you hear satellite radio here, it's really weird because I mean, there's been other cities I've been in where, you know, I'll be sitting having a coffee and you'll hear like Holiday in the Sun by the Sex Pistols on satellite radio. It's just strange. Like, you'd never hear something like that here. I think it's very super mainstream. There's a lot of very kind of mainstream thinking here. And I mean, realistically, like if you're talking Canadian music, do people even remember a band like Crash Vegas? I mean, this is one of the best Canadian bands that ever was. Crash Vegas. I mean, that album they had, Red Earth. I mean, this was you know, some of the greatest songwriting, I think, that's come out of Canada. And I don't know, you just it's not really venerated. You know, it's not really remembered. You know, and again, as I say, if you have no sense of history, then how do you have a sense of identity? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I didn't even know until I talked to Don Coleman. Interviewed him a few years ago. He was putting that ska all-star thing, the reggae thing at the Biltmore. Probably doesn't have it anymore. But I didn't know he was when I looked online and I talked to him later, he was a manager for one of the top punk bands in Canada, or maybe North America, the Villains. And now they were Vancouver-based. So the punk scene at one time in Vancouver was huge, and the Villains were huge in North America, and then they were based here in Vancouver. So I didn't know that. And they don't put that out there, like in mainstream.
There was also a lot of other Canadian bands, actually, like what you've mentioned with the punk rock scene. There's a few bands, like I remember the Doughboys. Have you heard of the Doughboys?
Yeah, the name sounds really familiar.
Like they were out of Montreal, and they were basically like a punk sort of indie rock band in like the early '90s, and they had some great albums. Like they had Whatever, Home Again, Happy Accidents, and these guys actually, they were one of the hardest working Canadian bands. You know, they were going on tour, playing the United States. Like I think they just did a tour with I know they played like they've been on stage with bands like the Foo Fighters, and you know, you would never guess, but I mean, you know, these are bands that have gone the wayside and people don't really remember them for the most part, but I mean, it's out there. Canada has a pretty strong history of music. You know, I think they do. It's just it's somewhere. It's, you know, I don't know if it's in like a vault somewhere, like where they keep it. You know, no one buys records anymore. No one buys
Northwest Territories of Canada, the far north, hidden under a rock, 20 feet of snow.
Even like the Asexuals, even the Asexuals album Gish, that was a great album.
Were they on MTV? Did they?
Some of their stuff would have been on Much Music.
I think I might have actually seen some of that.
But like if you want to talk, or like National Velvet,
yeah,
another band. National Velvet with Maria Del Mar, they were also great. I mean, Canadian, right? So, you know, like Canada has some really prolific music, but
that's not to mention the top two, right?
Well, of course, the Jarrod Tyler Band. I mean, that's
that's one, and then the other one is
Hank Williams. I don't know where's he from.
Neil Young, man. No.
Even like SNFU was like a humongous band, and they're from like Edmonton or something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're from Edmonton, so you didn't know.
Well, yeah, I caught a couple of their shows actually. I didn't even know who the hell they were at the time. So I mean, but that place was packed. These people didn't know who they were. They were just there for a show. It was great.
Yeah. So I mean, Canada, like there are. I guess my point is, there's a lot of talent, but it's just, where's the support for the talent? You know, here in this region, it's there. I don't know, maybe we've just stopped looking. Maybe, I don't know, we're not hearing of it, but it would be really nice to see some more showcases, some more people that want to focus on promoting indie bands, promoting the arts. You know, without that stuff, then, you know, you kind of lose your identity, really. I mean,
yeah, we talked before about people moving out of Vancouver, but it is becoming dispersed. There are people outside of Vancouver trying to do things outside of Metro Vancouver, like Greater Vancouver. How do you find like New West? They say like New West is becoming the Brooklyn of Vancouver. All the people who couldn't afford Vancouver living in New West, and now they have Laugh Lines there, a main comedy club, and on Columbia Street. Then they have the Heritage Grill, which has live entertainment every week. And so they have bands in there. You guys are actually thinking about playing there. There's another venue, too. They're starting to promote arts.
You mean like playing outside of the Vancouver direction?
No, I mean just like
Richmond's and Surrey's. And
well, even Richmond has a show.
Oh, no, first, I didn't mean to cut you guys off, but I didn't articulate it properly, even to myself. But this genesis is kind of happening, but it's hard to figure out. So, yeah, you're going to talk about Richmond, but, you know, we see it here in New West. But it's so dispersed, though. Like, there's Adirondack. They're starting to put on shows. I don't know what kind of shows in Surrey, but it's further outside of the main metro area. And, see, things are so spread out. So you can argue that things are moving outside of Vancouver, but it's so spread out, so dispersed because So you're talking about Richmond, because I heard they're starting to put open mics over there, or have them.
I think they have some things going on, but like the only one I really heard of was that they have, they feature some artists at the cannery. They have like cannery gigs like in the summer. No, I guess my point about New West is that it's one of the oldest hubs here. It would make sense that they should have live music, and they should have a lot of that cultural, like have maintained culture. I mean, like I would think. So, like, it doesn't surprise me to hear that there's things going on there. It's just when you look at the average bedtime in this whole general region, it seems that, for instance, my brother and I, a perfect example, my brother and I were riding our mountain bikes. I'm not going to say exactly where, but it wasn't in Metro Van. It was kind of in one of the suburbs. And, we went at night. We both gotten off work late, and we figured, hey, let's go for a bike ride. And apparently, like, there was police following us for like an hour, following behind us, just waiting for us to do something, because their switchboard had lit up, and there was a lot of people, calling, like, bothering the police to, like, follow these guys are just going on a bike ride. I think there is sort of an idea that everyone should be in bed here pretty early, and that you should go to bed early and not be around at night.
It was in a suburb?
It was in a suburb, yeah. It was in a suburb, so...
Would it be like a southern?
Well, I don't really want to say, but basically it was funny because, like, the police that pulled us over, they're like, well, we kind of have to do this because we got calls, but, like, no, you guys are good, go ahead, keep riding. But and afterwards we were just like, wow, like, people actually called the police on us because we were riding our bikes at night, which, if you go live and say, I remember riding my bike around Los Angeles, and 2 a.m. coming home from somewhere, and, like, so many people doing their own thing. No one even notices you're there. But I think that there's just, I guess my main point is that the nightlife here it seems to be very non-existent. Like, it's just go to bed early.
Now, some of the waves close at 8 in the New West.
Yeah.
But a lot of the coffee shops close at 8 in the New West, and there's 1 or 2 or 3 that close at 10. So yeah, the nightlife.
Well, it's just,
same with Vancouver.
I don't know. I got the feeling that it's just, if it's after dark, you should go home and just stay in your house and not go out anywhere, because most things are either going to be closed early or it's discouraged. I don't know. It seems that a lot of places close early, and especially during the week, it's just like there's not a lot of, and there's no real after hours things that are going on, and
in the suburbs.
Well, okay, like if you go to, say, even like Saskatchewan, for instance, like Last Colony bar, and then what like maybe 1 o'clock, 12:30, but like the off sales up until like 3. So like people, yeah, it's just, it's like a whole different way of doing things, right? Whereas
it's like
I don't drink alcohol, but like I've heard from people that it's just it's crazy. It's like when they come out here, it's sort of like, whoa, like everything shuts down really early, and it's kind of like the streets are kind of quiet, and like it's almost like there was a film made actually about Vancouver, No Fun City, I think they called it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
But I think they kind of said the same thing, that there was a lot of regulations, and just everything's overregulated. And it could be the issue. I don't know. I just know that, when you shut a place down at what, like 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock, 10:30. Get those freaking night lights on. Yeah, it's no fun.
A lot of interesting things have come through this interview. So it seems like, just thinking now with the last question you talked about, what you delved into, probably a combination of a lot of things, like the red tape, and definitely the prices getting jacked up for real estate, the rent, people moving, and then the red tape that was already there, like before, right at the time of the Olympics, before Olympics. Because No Fun City, when did that come out? Was that 2010?
I don't know. I've never seen it, actually. I've never seen it. But they basically, from what I've heard, they're illustrating that there's a lot of regulations, and there's a lot of sort of noise ordinance things going on, and like you can't really be out making noise or That's yeah.
No, it was 2010. Because I remember a girl talking about it in 2011 that she wrote a review. So the movie did come out like late 2010. Because things, the way they've changed now since then, it's gotten even worse, right? So it's probably a combination of red tape, restrictions, and then real estate.
You gotta be like freaking loaded to go out to some of these places. Loaded by having 100, 200,000 in the account, you know, or something like that, and going out and spending these huge amounts of cash just for a night out in Vancouver, where you can go spend less and watch a great band.
So, listeners, we were just talking to Edwin, bass player for the Jarrod Tyler Band, and Jarrod, lead vocals and piano. Jarrod Tyler Band has played, you know, all the major venues in Vancouver, Backstage Lounge, Railway many times, Media Club, and talking about the whole scene here in the GBRD. And we'll be talking again. This interview will air in 2 parts. We're going to talk again, definitely lots to talk about because there's a lot happening in the Valley. Interview is airing on Civil Radio. Lots of things happening in the Valley. A lot of people are moving further outside the city, and there's a whole scene in the Valley. There were FMA awards, music awards. Did you hear about that, Jarrod? In the Fraser Valley a few months ago. Next interview we'll talk about that. But can you fill in the listeners on this documentary you're working on? You're working on the whole scene in Vancouver, and not fair to ask you what stage you're at. So can you fill in the listeners on what to expect and when it might be completed, if it's fair to ask a question like that? Or whatever you want to talk about to close out this interview.
Well, it should be out sometime in the new year. It's, like I say, basically it's like, with this documentary, it's like we're inviting people into our reality, you know, like we're saying, step inside, come with us, and just, you know, see what it's like. And there's no misrepresentation, you know, it's all pretty authentic. You know, like we'll go do a show or we'll go do a rehearsal or whatever, and we'll have the crew with us, the camera crew with us, and they're basically just sort of documenting the good and the bad and the ugly. You know, like they basically, you know, we've caught a lot of cool stuff. Like in fact, one show we did recently, the cameras happened to be there, and by sheer chance, our drummer had forgotten his kick pedal for his drum kit, and like we didn't realize that till about 10 minutes before we went on stage, right? And so, you know, it catches little things like that, and just kind of the drama that it creates. But you know, it's all reality. So I think it was important for us to represent the realities of it, rather than, hey man, let's go rent a stretch limo with a pool in the back, and you know, put some bottles of Chandon on our charge cards, and you know, drive around Vancouver acting like pimp ass rock stars. You know, I mean, that's just it's not us, right?
Listeners, you hear the music cueing in, the Walrus. Yeah, we should end it with I'm Not the Walrus. Oh, there's tons of the music.
You Afternoons.
Yeah, Afternoons is good.
It's a track off.
Great song.
Oh, okay.
It's a track off the new album, the brand new album that's not even out yet.
Oh man, don't say that too loud. Don't want to collect too much attention.
We're just speaking to bass player for the Jarrod Tyler Band,
Edwin,
and lead vocals and piano,
JT.
Jarrod Tyler. Thanks so much for your time.
All right, dude.
All right, thanks, man. Hey, thanks for stopping by. It was like, I mean, what are the chances of running into you in a place like this, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to come to this restaurant.
Everything happens for a reason.
Exactly, man. Destiny.
Destiny.
18 miles past the borderline, and I'm feeling good. You know that I left my heart down in Hollywood. The laugh track against my back since I split your seed. And a man who's tasted witch's brew knows what I